and thank you very much for taking a few minutes to review this somewhat technical and supportive and informational video. Congratulations on joining the Flyer world. American Flyer was made in the United States, primarily in New Haven, Connecticut, between 1946 and 1966. And during those years, millions and millions of American Flyer trains, engines, cars, track, accessories were produced for a market that saw the train as the latest and greatest thing, probably comparable to the iPhone, video games environment that we find ourselves in these days. The track is 2-rail, and there should be pins that are on opposite rails on either end. And when assembling track, you want to just go ahead and insert the pins inside the rail. Okay, there's actually an opening inside the end of the rail. That's where the pin goes. If you put it together in such a way that the pin is either on the inside or the outside of the rail, it will not have good electrical conductivity, and you also may have trains that derail as they go across that section. So this is the proper way to attach the rail. If you have rail clips, these slide between the ties, and what this does is this holds the rail together. If it happens to be unfastened, like on a carpet or the floor or table, this will hold it together. And in this case, you may see that these ties have gotten a little bit unevenly spaced through the years, and so it's kind of pulled them a slight angle, but that's okay. That'll work fine. When it comes to cleaning track, you really don't want to use sandpaper. You don't want to use anything abrasive. You don't want to use alcohol. All of those things have downsides. I won't bore you with those details. If you want more information on that, check out my video under playlists for track maintenance on Austin's American Flyer on YouTube. But what you do want to use is this stuff right here. CRC 226. You can get it at Amazon, Walmart, any of the box stores. And you want to get the multi-purpose precision lubricant. Okay, this is what you want. And this can will last you for years. This rag here you can see is black, and this black comes from carbon. These trains run on AC power, and it tends to be more of a carbon producing way of electrical production or train running. So when you go to clean track, you want to take just a very, very tiny little squirt. So something about like that, okay? So it's just wet on the tip of your finger. And then I'll usually run across 5 or 6 lengths of track, go down one side, then come back the other. Not pressing down super hard, but gentle pressure. And when I get done, you can see it's blackened it a little bit. But what this does is this will encourage good conductivity between your engines and your cars, anything that has lights in it, with the rail. It'll also reduce static electricity, which with these old train wheels, especially those that are plastic, like these black ones here, that's the static that can happen on this track if you're not using something like this, leads to a buildup on these wheels, and that can be problematic. Things won't run very well, and you'll see more arcing and sparking because of that. So that's a little bit about track and track maintenance. And when you're cleaning the track, it's not that you have to do it, every few minutes, but you can make sure the track is clean when you first get it out for Christmas, or if it's something you've had put away, just again use a rag, go over it real quick. Start running your trains, and if you see them starting to slow down or act a little sluggish or sporadic, then that's a cue that it's time to clean the rails. What's interesting is your rail, you may even see the top of the rails get some dirt and stuff on them, but that doesn't mean the trains will have any issue, because again, this is really good stuff. It helps with conductiveness of the rail. Hooking up your track. You'll have one of these clips, and they're just real simple to put on. They can go on curves or straight, it doesn't matter. They just clip like that, and it doesn't matter if you go one side or the other. And there's just two wires that will go. One wire will be for one rail, the other for the other. It doesn't matter which way they go. AC current alternates, so it doesn't matter. On the back of your transformer, which it's a little hard to see on this one, you'll find a base, which is your constant, or one side of the polarity that you want to send to your track. The next one typically is your variable speed, so that's what's controlled by the throttle on your transformer, and that'll say 7 to 16 volts. And then the 16 volt or constant is for accessories. And if you hook your track up to that, your trains are going to run wide open, and nothing you do here will do anything to stop them, though, because this is a constant source of power. So one wire here, and then again, same thing on this end. They go in these little notches, just slide them in like that. And once you release the little clamp here, they're held pretty firmly. You shouldn't have any problems. So there you go with transformers and clips and track. When you're storing your track, it's not a bad idea to do like I've done here, where I've got it kind of interlaced like this. And what this does is it takes up the smallest amount of space, and also keeps your track from getting damaged. You want to be careful not to step on it. You don't want to bend the tabs on the ends, the pins on the end, if you can avoid it. They are metal, so they can take some bending back, but eventually they will snap off. So it's not something you want to have happen too often. Cars. The cars that you have, I've serviced them, and by that it means they've all been cleaned. It means as much rust as possible has been removed, if there was any of that. I've lubricated the insides and ends of the axles to help there be great movement on the wheels. And I've also adjusted the couplers if need be. If you have link couplers, they should be floppy like this. Okay. Over time, it is possible, again, if someone steps on this, or if the cars are put away in such a fashion that they're kind of thrown into a box, these may get out of alignment and adjustment. So basically what you want to do is you want to make sure they're fairly level to just slightly down, and you want to make sure that there's not a twist left or right. If this pin is twisted up, you want to gently hold on to this and just pull this and slightly bend it down. Everything's metal. Again, it'll be able to handle some adjustments without issue, but you want that to be about level, and you want this pin to be level or a little bit low. Okay. All right. Now, when it comes to storage of your trains, what you want to do is have some sort of a paper, a craft paper, a newsprint, newspaper. All of those things are great. What you don't want to use is plastic, bubble wrap, anything with petroleum products in it, because what those petroleum products will do is over time they will start to degrade, and it can really interfere with this plastic. And this plastic can be 50, 60, 70 years old. So it's still good. It's not brittle necessarily, but if you put chemicals up against it, it can cause issues. So what I would recommend is you just take your cars. If you can turn the couplers on the inside like this, that's great. Now in this case, we've got these bins on the bottom, so it only goes so far. But by doing that helps them take up less space and kind of protects the coupler. And you just kind of wrap them like a cocoon in and just do a couple wraps. You don't have to go crazy, and then gently put them in a storage container. And this will keep them nice and keep them ready to go for the next time when you get them out to run them. American Flyer engines are all mechanical. There's no electronics in them. and that makes them very durable, long lasting, and just a lot of fun. When you get an engine, if you have a steam engine with a tender, a lot of them, not all of them, you can actually separate the tender from the engine. These plugs back here will come apart. Taking a screw off at the bottom will take the drawbar off. To be as much as possible, I would recommend that you don't take them apart. Again, as long as you can, when they're in storage, wrap them gently, securely, so they're not getting twisted and contorted. It's best not to separate them, because in some cases, like on this particular engine, there's a 4-prong plug here called a jack panel, but then there's an additional 5th wire that's soldered. It's hardwired or hard soldered to the back of the jack panel, so that never comes off. So if the tender and the jack panel plug are removed, you've still got 1 wire that's soldered here, and the chance of that getting jerked out, broken, is very high. So it's best just to leave it alone. All right, on the bottom of your tender, or I should say inside your tender, you have something called a reverse unit, and it's a 4-step reverse unit. So there's a direction, either forward or reverse, and each of those directions then are separated by a neutral. So if you turn it on and it doesn't go, it's neutral. You turn off the power, turn the power back on, it'll go a direction. Then you turn the power off, turn the power back on, it goes to neutral again. Power off, power back on, it goes the opposite direction. If you ever want to lock the reversing mechanism and prevent it from reversing directions, when the engine is going whatever direction you want, if you want to go forward and lock it in that position, or if you want to go in reverse and you lock it in that position, here is how that's done. This lever down here gets slid over, and what that'll do is that'll prevent the reverse unit from actually changing or moving. The challenge to doing that, though, is the engine needs to be going in a direction. So what a lot of people will do is they'll lock the reverse unit into forward. So the train actually has to be powered on the track. It needs to be going forward. You can reduce your throttle down to kind of a crawl and then reach under the tender and slide that over. If you bump it and cause the reverse unit to flip and then lock it, it's going to lock your reverse unit into neutral if you were going forward. So it can be a little challenging. It's not insurmountable, but may take a little bit of coordination to get that to happen. All right, if you've had your engine in storage and you want to get it out for the Christmas season, I recommend getting some sort of lightweight oil with a longer tip on it. This is called Tri-Flow. It has PFT in it, which is slippery plastic. That's the best. Something real thin, weight is ideal. If all you have is 3-in-1, that will work. It's a little bit heavier than ideal. But what you want to do on a steam engine is here at the back, between these 2 copper or brass brush holders, is a wick, and it looks like lint, but it's actually a wick, and you want to put like 3 or 4 drops of lubricant on that, and that'll kind of draw it into the back of the motor. The other thing is down here you'll see a gear. This is on the main drive axle, and you want to put a drop or 2 of oil on that. And then this is where having the long needle type applicator is really handy. It's also good to reach down inside between the wheel and the frame, all the way down to where the axle is, and put just 1 drop. Again, you only want to do this when you first get the engine out of storage, because if these sit for a long time and you run them, it can cause more wear than is necessary. But again, these engines have been around a long time, which is a credit to their construction and the fact that they can handle running without having regular maintenance. They tend to manage that, but it's best if you can avoid abusing them. When you go to put link couplers together, probably should say this, they have one side that goes over the pin and the other side, has the notch in it. And so they just kind of come together like this. And if you're on a piece of straight track, you can generally just push them together and they'll link. Sometimes you have to just tap them down if they want to get a little bit sticky. But then when it comes time to take cars apart, it's always a nice idea to kind of turn them like this. That makes them come apart a little bit easier, with link couplers, that is. If you happen to have knuckle couplers like this one, that's partially broken, these are a little bit different. They have a weight at the bottom and they have a knuckle. And if you want to uncouple cars, you press up on the bottom of the weight and it causes the knuckle to open. So that's the other style of coupler. Inside here is a smoke generator, and oftentimes there's a little extension that sticks out of the smoke chamber down below. And this little extension is where the smoke comes out of, and it's kind of down inside the chimney. So if you have one of those extensions, that's where your smoke fluid goes. If you don't have one of those extensions, you've got to make sure to get it into the hole down further inside the chimney, which can be a little bit challenging. So hopefully there's a smoke extension there. But the reservoir capacity in these smoke chambers is significant. And when I prepare engines to go to someone else, I service everything, I clean everything, I lube everything, and I fill up the smoke chamber. So there's a lot of fluid in there to begin with, and it'll run, for quite a while. Smoke output varies completely from one engine to the next. It'll also vary based on the voltage that you're giving it. Some engines smoke better at low speeds, some engines smoke better at high speeds. All the smoke is being generated by the oil getting hot. So over time it gets used up. So when it comes time to add some more, I recommend doing between 4 and 6 drops. And again, you can run your engine potentially for hours before adding any. And it kind of depends how long you have it running when you do run it before you want to add some. But basically, if you're running it and you run it at different speeds and you notice there's really no smoke coming out, then you want to add some. Okay, well, thanks again for stopping in. I hope this has been helpful. And if you ever have any questions, please get a hold of me. You can find out my contact information through Austin's American Flyer on YouTube. It's in the comments of every video. It's also in a section at the end of every video. And I'll be as helpful as I can. Thank you very much.